everybody. Christian Jennings here with Neighborhood TV. And in this week's weekly police segment, we're bringing in Chief Billy Grogan. He's the chief of Dunwoody Police. So first, want to say hello to you and thank you for being here.
Hello, glad to be here.
So we want to do these discussions each week with different parts of our zone to talk about the issues that you're seeing right there in your community. And one of the things you told me that you specifically wanted to talk about was police recruitment. So getting police officers in and getting them to stay. So talk to me about some of the challenges that you're seeing right now.
Well, I think it's really a challenge for our community as well as most communities across the United States. We've seen really a downturn in applicants who are interested in becoming police officers since the George Floyd incident, several years ago. And then we've added to that the fact that we've seen police officers who are now getting out of law enforcement. So they've been police officers for 5, 10, 15 years, and they're deciding that law enforcement is not the career they want to stay in. And so they're getting out of that. So that's kind of both those things have created a little bit of a challenge for local communities like ours in attracting and retaining, quality police staff.
How short are you in terms of how many vacancies you have for, police on the street? And what are you doing to try to combat this issue?
Sure. Right now, I think we're 8 officers short. And the city council just recently, July 1st, provided an across the board 6% raise. We're also looking to be creative in how we attract officers. Our best recruiters are people who work inside our department. And so we're trying to, solicit them. We got little recruitment cards for everybody that they could carry and hand out. And then we're doing some online advertisement at strategic places as well. Police chief, magazine, different things like that in order to recruit and retain some staff.
And how much does community support play a role in really getting police officers to not only want to join, but to stay?
I think most police chiefs would tell you that the police cannot do this job by ourselves. We need the support of the community, but we also need their help. And when you come to work each day and you know that you've got a community that supports you, it makes a big difference.
So let's talk about crime while we're on that topic. And you said you've seen an uptick in violent crime. Your city's not alone in this, but there has been an uptick in violent crime. And you said specifically aggravated assault. So that would be shootings mostly, I'm assuming. Can you talk to me about just what you're seeing and what the public needs to know? Are there any certain areas of Dunwoody where you're seeing the majority of this uptick?
Yeah, so starting in 2020 when COVID happened, we saw an uptick of about 15 to 20% increase in violent crime. And then in 21, the same thing. And then this year we've seen an uptick. I think right now it's at about 15%. Fortunately for us, we don't have a lot of violent crime, so the percent may sound pretty high, but we're talking small numbers. And a lot of it is centered around interpersonal violence, violence between two individuals who typically know each other. A lot of that's domestic related type aggravated assaults where somebody choked somebody or hit somebody with an object or something like that. But it's definitely been a big challenge for us.
And I actually know we ran something last week about a rape suspect that you were looking for, and that was frightening for folks in that community. But you guys were able to make an arrest pretty quickly. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? You were able to track him down in a different state, right?
Yes. So we obviously, deployed our net very far and very wide to try to catch this individual because he was a danger, to the community. And he had fled to Missouri in his vehicle. Fortunately, he was still in his vehicle and had his cell phone. And so we were able to track him and notify an agency up there in the St. Louis area, and they were able to capture him without incident.
So you also mentioned fraud, and I think that's always something good to alert people to, especially senior citizens. I know I've been seeing on, my next door account, for example, a lot of people talking about an uptick in fraud cases, and oh, I know somebody, my neighbor lost thousands of dollars. So what are you guys seeing? Have you had any victims that have fallen for any of these scams that have been going around? And can you get specific on a few of those just so people
Yeah,
know
and
out for?
unfortunately, the elderly are targeted fairly frequently in all kinds of different scams. And we had one earlier this year that lost hundreds of thousands of dollars over a period of time, being repeatedly scammed. I just saw one recently where someone called a woman and told her that her son had been arrested, and that his bond was $250,000, and she needed to come up with $13,000 cash to get him out of jail. So she went to the bank, got $13,000, and they said, "We'll come by your house and pick it up." And they did. And of course, it was all a scam. Her son wasn't arrested. And those are the type things that people need to be cautious about. If if your loved one is ever arrested, nobody's going to come to your house and pick up any money. You're going to have to go to somewhere to get them out of jail. And so just remember that.
Anything else that is going on in your community that you want people to be aware of that I haven't asked about? Any big events coming up or anything along those lines?
Yeah, we've got a couple of classes that are coming up. One is we do a lot of work trying to rescue folks who are victims of sex trafficking or human trafficking. And we've got an event coming up on, let me check my calendar here. It's November the 10th. And that will be at Dunwoody United Methodist Church the evening of, and we're putting together a panel that will have some experts in this field, and we'll be putting more information out about that. And then coming up in September, September the 20th, we'll be hosting a educational class at City Hall related to overdose epidemic that we're experiencing. It's the title of the class is Death by Overdose, and it's sure to be informative to our community.
Yeah, the story I did last week, or the one-on-one I did last week with Gainesville's police chief, we talked extensively about the fentanyl overdose that they're seeing and how they've had just really more than ever. I think he said 20 something deaths this year alone in Gainesville. Are you guys seeing some of the same problems?
Not to that level, but it's probably the highest it has been for us in our community. I know that I think we've deployed Narcan about close to 30 times this year.
Wow.
And so we've had, I think, 5 or 6 deaths.
And that affects every age range, it seems, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We have older people and younger people and, everybody in between.
So
Yep.
finally, I did want to ask you about the new clinician that you have on staff. This is something really cool you guys are doing. And I know a few other jurisdictions do this as well, but you now have a mental health specialist, a clinician on staff that can respond with 911 calls if you need it, right? Can you talk about that? How's that going?
Yeah, so far so good. She's just getting acclimated to, our department and to our expectations, and, the kind of working out the logistics of how we'll do that. But yeah, we've seen some good success. She's been on several calls with officers and been able to help and with those particular calls. But more importantly, she's doing a lot of case management, so follow up. And the idea is that by either responding to calls or getting referrals from officers about individuals that she can follow up with, that we can keep them out of the system of calling 911 or the 911 being called on them. So they're, where there are situations like that we can redirect and get them the resources that they need. And so far it's so good. We were able to use some ARPA money for that position and fund it for the next 3 years.
That's great. Well, I'm excited to see the progress there. And Chief, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're busy, so we appreciate you talking to us about what's going on there in Dunwoody.
Happy to do it.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care.
You're welcome.